What's going on, YouTube? Zach is back. Happy New Year. I'm bringing you another Pokemon Unite replay commentary on 1-1. Hope you enjoy. I recorded this one live like I've done in the past with a few of them, and I'm commentating it afterward. And part of why I did this is just to sort of show the pick process and sort of my thought process going in. I went to Defender immediately because I saw 2 attackers right off the get, and I still have 3 damage dealers, so we just need some sort of stability in our team fights to be able to fight effectively. Here I'm thinking of picking Vaporeon because it's in the pool. I also wanted to pick Umbreon. I decided not to pick it because I see Junior has Umbreon as his profile thing, so I was like, okay, well, maybe he wants it. But he decides Leafeon in the end, so I switched to Ho-Oh because I want our lane to be a little more balanced in terms of how we're approaching the lane, in that we have 1 melee, 1 ranged, 1 level 4 character, 1 level 5 character, so we can sort of balance each other's strengths and weaknesses out, ideally if we play together. Spoiler alert, that ain't gonna happen, but it's still the idea behind the play, and I think it's a good way to split your lanes. The enemy team's lined up. I don't know if you can see the far left one. It's Glaceon. They have a lot of damage, but they are seriously lacking in terms of their early game presence, and honestly, just their team fights are sloppy without helpers. But with that said, we'll get into it. They actually did recently buff Ho-Oh. They made all his moves better except Flamethrower, which I thought was good because, well, I think they could have buffed Flamethrower too, to be honest. But the Pokemon was in somewhat of a weak spot, and I think largely that's due to Vaporeon being introduced. I think Vaporeon's very strong against Ho-Oh, and so it's nice to see them retroactively, like, fixing Pokemon that don't have that strength when they need it. Unfortunately, the Glaceon managed to get our last hit there, and so I'm going to try to contest him on his side and steal his. But alas, to no avail. Something kind of unfortunate that I don't like is that he hit the Balto over here, our safe farm, and so I can't get any XP from that. So I'm just sort of stuck low for a while. And we can even see where he's at. He's like looking at safe farm mainly. So I try to corral him over here. A lot of what I do in this game in terms of communication is just communicating by my presence. It's like, I'm the defender and I'm here, so my teammates can be here too, right? And that's what I've talked about in the past in terms of defenders being area control Pokemon. Ho is a great example of that. My Leaf, unfortunately, doesn't really understand that he should be 4 before he contests people and dies pretty easily. Which leaves me alone to do the contested farm. But as we've seen in the past, you know, Ho's great at securing last hits. I didn't get that one there, obviously. We got one of them, though. We got 2 of them. We got the big one. That's important. And as ever, you know, with my lanes like this, I'm always going for contested farm as a priority. I think it's really important. Unfortunately, they had 2 people. I only had 1. I could have waited for Tailwind there. I didn't want Glaceon to get into the bush. Hey, Kibo. You come to watch me play Pokemon? So when I have bad laners like this Leaf who I just muted a second ago, part of my thinking is I want to leave lane early as possible and find my strong teammates and play with them. And so my mid laner, who's level 6 and has buffs, is probably my strongest Pokemon on my team. So wherever he's at, I'm just going to try to be there, make sure he doesn't die, and give him buffs and levels. Just support him as best I can. And with my presence here, they're able to score as long as they get out of the fire, which they didn't for a long time. It's kind of annoying. And it allows me to score as well. With Darkrai showing up, however, I am much less wanting to fight, so I tell my teammates to retreat. Again, modeling effective communication through behavior and word. Sky Attack is nice because you can commit really safely there. I can fly in to see what's going on and hit someone without having to commit so far. And of course, it's great for contesting objectives and for fighting Pokemon. As you can see, I'm using it to hit the Drago and the Charmander there. And pressure the Darkrai's presence as well. Force him to continually reposition. And you can use it to steal berries, obviously, too. Sky Attack is a really strong move, and I'm glad they buffed it. Unfortunately, their guy got the buff. But that won't be any problem. He's low enough that I'm able to easily solo take them both out. It's a shame we had to fight that with our Leaf. Yeah, I'm not really very happy with him. I'm like pinging him at this point. Oh, hadn't muted him yet. Now I'm muting him. I forgot. I guess this is the point I thought, yeah, there's nothing this guy can communicate positively. And that's part of positive communication, is recognizing who the people on your team are that you want to be communicating with. And if you don't think there's a reason to communicate with someone, then you should mute them. It saves you from having to deal with their communications if they get annoying later in the game. And yeah, obviously I pinged this at the start because I wanted to do it, and I'm just hitting it with my attackers, making sure they have a stable presence nearby in case they get gone on. Honestly, with 2 attackers, they probably could have done it, but with Sky Attack, I'm pretty mobile, so I decide I'll just stay here and, you know, help them out and then go top afterward. But with Charizard there, I'm going to linger just a little longer before making their way top. And I'm scanning with my camera right now trying to... Yeah, there we go. I was basically in my head, like, walking where the Charizard was, and I was basically right on. My teammates managed to clean up very nicely before I arrived, leaving only a Darkrai after his ult. And with that, we can start working on Drago. Again, with Sky Attack and Fire Sim, Ho-Oh is really great last hit. But in a situation like this, I'm not really looking to use my moves for last hit specifically, because I have a leaf there, so I'm just trying to rip it down as quickly as possible before their attackers can connect. And part of why I made that play was I had the vision to see that they had an attacker stuck on the goal pad with our guy. And obviously I want him to get revenge on the other Charizard, so I have to resurrect him. Oh, come on, buddy. There you go. There he is. The Mega Charizard Y. I really hope they nerf this Pokemon. He's so cool, but he's way too strong. And again, keeping the pressure on and saying it to my teammates works well together. That's part of what I talk about when I say effective communication, is your actions and your words go together and work together to convey to your teammates your thought process and your game plan. I was a little unfortunate there. I sort of got KO'd before I could potion up. Unless I had to mute the Guardy, because again, like the Leaf, it's sort of one of the situations where I'm not really convinced thus far that he's contributing enough for me to care about what he has to say. And when I say things like that, I never mean it as a personal slight against my opponents. It's only the sort of statement that originates from a place of wanting to win. So it's like, I would rather win than not, and so muting my teammates helps me win. That's what I'm going to do. In the situation, I'm just going bottom and letting my teammates know. And again, leading the way with Sky Attack, it gives the teammates a priority to be there. Like, oh, we have to rip this thing, and the Ho is going to be there before me, you know? But as the sole helper of the team, I am checking bushes here to make sure that we are safe to do the objective. I only checked 2, but there's a lot of bushes, so it's hard to check them all. And quite honestly, if they're going to approach from another one, they have to walk across where the other 2 bushes are visible anyway. So we don't really need to check them all there. Playing as 5, we can easily KO anyone we run into, so we converge on the Charizard, take him out. Darkrai runs like hell, as he should. I sort of walk at him for a second, but when it becomes apparent that I'm not going to be able to connect with him and none of my teammates are following, and none of my teammates should be following, I decide instead to, again, connect with my teammates, play with them, just be as 5. Obviously, getting Charizard ulted is never ideal, but as Ho-Oh, you're kind of one of the better Pokemon to get gone on if you can tank it, because you're tanky enough that you can knock your opponents out. And then there with Sky Attack, you can easily KO Darkrai, it's for agility. It really showcases the power of Sky Attack after it's been buffed. Here I go for a cheeky res to try to get some KOs. Maybe a bit risky. We do get the Glaceon, but unfortunately my almost level 13 now guy is going to get knocked out by their people, which really stinks. Because now Darkrai is 12. But nonetheless, all my other level 11s are top doing the objective. And as I do meet the Charizard just because he didn't have very many KOs, and I don't know. I'm trying to dilute things down to the important people. In my mind at this point, Glaceon is the important people. Again, it's nothing personal, and it's never like I mean that to talk bad about my teammates in any way outside of like this game that I'm experiencing with them, you know? And everyone's got bad games, so I don't mean to say they're bad players, you know? They might be just having an off day, and that's fine too. Maybe I'm being too judgmental, you know? Let me know in the comments, but this is sort of the thing I do in solo queue, and I think it's pretty important to do, to take care of yourself at least. What's not a good idea, maybe, is doing this by yourself for this long, because there's no way I can get it. And all that happens is I delay my presence here until the enemy team shows up and is able to easily knock me out by myself. Kind of unfortunate. I mute the Glaceon, he didn't show up with me, it was kind of annoying. And you can see here how on our team we're kind of lacking levels on a lot of Pokemon. And it would be a good reason to run experience share on your Ho-Oh if you're the only helper on your team. So especially if you're only a helper, if you're the only helper on your team, XP share I think still has value just to make sure you're getting at least some value to make sure you're not completely useless in the late game team fights. My goal here obviously is to play near my teammates that may die so I can resurrect them. Some of them I'm not quite near enough to, but at the same time I'm trying to play the mid ground and split the difference in these team fights. At this point, I'm kind of committed to being down here and pressuring the Darkrai just to make sure we can get him knocked out. I see that he and Gardevoir get put away, and obviously he KOs the Gardevoir, which is unfortunate. But he takes a direct route back, so he has to fight me again. The unfortunate fact about that is that he is tanky enough to be able to live a little while. But what's great is thanks to our teammates just making use of the distraction that I and Gardevoir were, because everyone else came bottom of the enemy team, we were able to take Reggie Kyogre. And that's another part of effective communication, you know, is sometimes you don't want to distract your teammates from what they're doing. All my guys were mid, I'm fighting bottom, I'm just going to stay bottom and do my thing and hope they're doing the right thing, and they did, you know. Part of the nice thing about having only one helper is you have a lot of damage in the late game, so, you know, it's not strictly negative, it just means that you have a rough time early on and in the mid game, arguably. Which can sometimes be enough to lose the game, which is why I don't like it. But in this case, like I said, it all worked out. It was a very, very fun game. And I think it showcases how strong Ho is after the buffs, as well as just generally how to play the Pokemon well with the moves that I chose. Let's see, any other things I want to say about this game? It's pretty much over at this point. I don't want to like brag on reaching Legend rank or anything, but I do think that I am glad they made another rank bracket, because it does mean not everyone's going to be in the top rank bracket. Not everyone is, you know, lots of people aren't going to make Legend rank, and that's fine. I do hope that all my friends make it, that'd be cool. But, you know, in any case, I think the important thing is that the game now rewards you a little more, I think, for actually going the extra mile to communicate well, to understand the game in a larger sense. So just try to work with your teammates, because a lot of times people aren't really doing that effectively, in my opinion. And it's part of why they're not able to win or climb. What a game. This game sort of highlights, I hope, the alternative to that. Not only effectively communicating with your team, but playing with them and understanding your role in the game. Ho-Oh's job on a team like this, and you can see by the damage spread, is not to deal damage, it's not to be a sword, it's to be a shield. I took and healed a ton of damage, and that's largely thanks to Big Root. I think it's a great item on Ho-Oh. My item build this game is very standard as far as Ho-Oh stuff goes, but it makes use of the fact that I'm not running experience share. That said, experience share may or may not have helped in some ways, but the game still worked out anyway. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful new year. I hope 2026 is full of great things for you. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like, subscribe for more stuff like this. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you want to see in the future. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. Peace.